All right, so 3 airlines in India have already issued a statement, and that's precisely what I read. IndiGo Airlines issuing a statement here. I'm going to read that out for you yet again, saying our systems are impacted by ongoing issues with Microsoft Azure. We're experiencing high volumes at contact center. Please contact us only if your travel is within 24 hours. So for IndiGo Airlines, they've put out a clear message that unless it's an urgent communication that you want to do, then you contact them if your flight is only within the next 24 hours. They've outrightly said that they have an ongoing issue with Microsoft Azure, claiming that we are experiencing high volumes at contact center. There seems to be a barrage of calls and people trying to reach out, asking for help with their check-in. And you have IndiGo Airlines in India putting out a clear statement saying that their operations have been impacted at this point due to ongoing outage of Microsoft Azure, saying that and admitting, IndiGo admits that they are experiencing high volumes at the contact center, asking people to refrain from contacting the airline unless your travel is only within the next 24 hours. We're clearly looking at big impact of this Microsoft outage. Industries and sectors across the globe have been impacted. And here in India, 3 airlines have admitted that they are facing difficulties with check-in. Online check-in is difficult. If you want to be taking your flight in the next 24 hours, make sure to reach the airport much in advance. Do reach the airport early. Global Microsoft outage that's impacting IndiGo Airlines, Akasa, SpiceJet, Air India operations. All airport services at this point in India have been affected. This is the latest that we have at this point. In fact, globally too, we're looking at a number of airlines and banks that have been completely hit by the service disruption. And the cause of the outage is still unclear. Many of those affected have linked this issue to Microsoft PC operating systems. We're not sure exactly what the real problem is, but Danny DeCruz, our correspondent, joins us live for more on that. Danny, please give us more. We hear that the issue could be with Microsoft PC operating systems. If you can elaborate what exactly that means. But the real concern here is 5 of Indian airlines, be it Air India, SpiceJet, IndiGo, Akasa, and several other airlines in the country have already reported disruptions in their services. They're asking people and passengers to arrive at the airport much earlier, claiming they have no bandwidth. You've got to come early only for manual check-in. Online check-in is not possible. All right, do stay with us. We have Mr. Chandrasekhar, former IT Minister Rajiv Chandrasekhar joining us on the phone line. Mr. Chandrasekhar, we're looking at a huge outage, Microsoft outage, that's leading to airlines disrupted in India. Do we know of the matter? What's the concern?
No, look, I'm not privy to what has caused the problem and the outage, but certainly what I'm seeing on television and what I'm reading online points to a serious disruption of a platform that is being used by thousands and millions of small and large businesses. So I think really the focus, this is not time to panic, certainly not. But certainly the conversations with these type of large platforms about their resilience, about their fail-proof availability 24/7 to users that depend on them for their business and livelihoods is something that is certainly going to take center stage in the days to come, which is that these platforms have to not just deliver innovation and access, but these platforms also have to be, in a lot of ways, fault-tolerant, fail-proof, and resilient. So I think that is something going to happen. I can't comment on the current crisis, but I'm sure Microsoft is a large company, a very credible company. They will slowly build it back and recover this, whatever the cause be. But certainly conversations and the focus will now move between those who use these platforms and the platforms themselves on what type of fail-proofness they've built into their design and what are the guarantees and assurances of 24/7 availability of these platforms, because businesses depend on them 24/7.
Yeah. And like you rightly said, Rajiv Chandrasekhar, this is an issue all across the world. A tech glitch like this could really leave the world stranded. And that's what we see in India. We're looking at SpiceJet, Akasa Air, Air India, IndiGo, all of them have issued guidelines saying that their web check-in isn't available. That would only lead to a lot of panic. You're asking people not to panic, but a message that you want to give to the airlines as well. This is a tech issue, a tech glitch. Do you think the government is going to be reaching out to Microsoft at the earliest?
I can't speak on behalf of the government. I am obviously not in government, but I can certainly assume, or I can certainly predict that platforms like Microsoft, these large platforms, ubiquitous platforms that are being used, will have to step up and do more about their own resilience and their own redundancy and fault tolerance vis-a-vis the clients, that hundreds and thousands of clients in India and abroad that depend on them and they serve. So I think they will have to step up and do more. I don't think there's very much that the government or indeed anybody can do on this. This is certainly an issue between the customers and the users of these platforms and the platform providers, and they will certainly have to step up and do a lot more and a lot faster.
You know, a quick word on Microsoft addressing concerns of outage in the United States. In their statements that I read here, extensively addresses the situation in central United States, saying that we are using all methods, applying mitigation. We're trying to deal with the problem. It will be dealt with soon. So addressing United States largely.
No, look, I know the company reasonably well. Microsoft is a company that has got a great deal of credibility, and I'm sure there have been some significant reasons for this kind of an outage, and that they will certainly bring it back online soon. But that doesn't take away the fact that there has to be a clear conversation, not today, not necessarily today, but on an ongoing days, in the coming days, on how these platforms can be much more reliable and much more dependent, because so many small businesses and large businesses depend on these platforms.
You know, India really boasts of digitization. We're really the leaders in that space. Digital infrastructure is robust in the country. Any methods to avoid a crash like this that India is adopting, in your view, that the government was working on?
No, I don't know if this is the domain of the government as much as it is the domain of those who use these platforms. I think these platforms have to be insisted on to deliver services that are, in a sense, fail-proof. They have to have backups to backups to backups. You've heard the story of complex jets and that have fail-proof systems and a backup to that backup to another third backup and a fourth backup. And I think when businesses depend on these platforms like Microsoft 365 for their businesses 24/7, it is for Microsoft and other such platforms to ensure that they are fail-proof and that they do backup systems to backup systems to backup systems. So levels of resilience that they have to build will have to be gone into. And I'm sure that the government will go into it and have conversations.
Yeah,
with
you know what,
Microsoft
Rajiv Chandrasekhar, at this point, we hear that the government has also reached out to Microsoft, saying that we are speaking currently to Microsoft on the outage. Would you be able to elaborate a quick turnaround by the government of India?
Yeah, the government is obviously very sensitive to our digital economy. The government is very sensitive to all the users and customers and companies that depend on the underlying internet. And I'm very, very confident that the government will work with Microsoft to correct the situation at the earliest that Microsoft does so.
Right. Your word to people right now who feel stranded, aren't able to move forward with their daily routine. This has really stranded the world. India is no different, but message from you will surely be satisfying. If we could hear from you on the airlines, you have many of the airlines now stranded, not being able to function, no check-ins. Word to them. All right, we seem to have lost his connection, but we've heard extensively Rajiv Chandrasekhar saying that the government has reached out to Microsoft on the outage, and we're waiting for a response.